Hi, everybody. I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi. We're having our regular quarterly talk with James Pittman of Docketwise as part of our immigration service provider segment. There's just so many updates going on Docketwise that I like doing this talk just to get a recap of what the changes are, and they're really upgrades, not changes, but and what additions have come in, so users could be aware as well, because so many of my users, viewers, and listeners also use Docketwise. Just a heads up, you guys offer a 10% off your annual plan if you go to docketwise.com/immigration-lawyers-toolbox or podcast. But this is a podcast, or say this one, -podcast, and use the password Immigration Lawyers Podcast. So, James, thank you so much for coming on the show again.
John, it's always a pleasure. I'm really glad to be here again with you.
Thank you. So let's get into it. First of all, you have a customization of dashboard pop up. What kind of customization what does that look like?
So those are called snapshots. So now when you log into your Docketwise dashboard, you have the ability to customize your dashboard by choosing which of the snapshots you want to see. And each user can do that. So those are things like forms that you recently worked on, events that are coming up, tasks that are coming due soon, invoices created, and so forth. And you can select which of those that you want to see on your dashboard.
Very interesting. You said each user could do it. So if it's like a
correct
2 or 3 person firm, each person could do what the way they want it.
That's correct.
Really. I mean, how is that, like, do you have like the cloud or wherever your servers are? Does that kind of thing, technical wise, get really complex when you have different users all adjusting stuff, or is that a?
Well, that's not, because that's kind of, and again, I just full disclosure, I'm not a software engineer, but full disclosure. So it's really just filtering what you see. So that's really not, that's not technically difficult at all. Yeah, you're just sort of filtering what you're seeing.
Yeah, complete novice, non-engineer. This all seems like, it's like, oh my God, like you just the idea of like, now I try to create it. My brother-in-law is a tech guy, and he's like, oh, let me make a software for you. And because he thought it was easy, and they did it. And there was like 1,000,001 things we had to adjust. I'm like, no, this is too complicated. We abandoned that plan. This was a couple of years ago. I'm like, this is something you got to dedicate your life to. It's not something you just go on a weekend and a whim and make it. Another thing you guys have is exporting notes to PDF. So it's the notes you take on there. You could separately make a PDF file you could download.
Yes, a lot of users have requested the ability to export the notes into a PDF, either because they want to print the notes if any sort of issue ever arises with the client and their handling of any aspect of it. They wanted to have the ability to print out the notes. Yeah.
Awesome. And then also a group chat feature popped up. How does that work?
So the chat is your internal messaging with your users, so sending IMs to each other. And when we first deployed it, you were able to send, you had like sort of an individual channel for each of your users. So person A could chat to person B, but now you can create groups. So let's say you have 2 groups in the firm, you have one employment-based group and one family-based group. You'll be able to send a group chat to the specific members of that group.
Wow, that's interesting. It's just you're integrating, like I use Slack right now for a team, like it's mostly my marketing team, so it wouldn't be part of Docketwise, but it's interesting seeing you bring in internally all this kind of stuff, a one-stop shop. It's wonderful. You also have a thing for automatically adding late fees and interest to invoices, so your billing is becoming more and more complex to accommodate people.
Right. We've added a lot of invoice features. I mean, first of all, as you said, you can now set automatic late fees or interest, and you can do that either as sort of like a flat fee amount that you're tacking on as a late fee, and it can be, you can make it a recurring late fee, either a recurring flat fee amount or a recurring percentage of the total invoice balance amount that you're tacking on as a late fee or interest. And you can do that for one specific invoice, or you could do it as a global setting where all invoices will do that. If they are not paid by the due date, they become late, and then they will tack on those fees. Yes, you can set that.
I've never charged a late fee myself for client, but I imagine you guys just don't do this. So you've had customers ask that they want this feature.
Correct. All of the features and modifications that we add are added because users have requested them. So we meticulously keep track of what people are requesting, and we monitor those updates. And when things get enough upvotes, then we attempt to deploy them. So develop and deploy. But yeah, so that is these are things that people ask for. So apparently some people do it. I know a lot of, so it's an individual.
It's probably a
preference.
smart thing to do. It's probably should be doing that kind of stuff. But I usually try to get paid up front. I have a solo practice where I just hired an associate, but I get paid up front everything, so I don't have to worry about billing too much with late fees or something like that. But we have a colleague, Nadine Heights, who's also a Docketwise user. She has the Facebook group, Technology for Immigration Practitioners, and she always says, contact you guys, like just make a ticket and let them know if about a feature, something like that, because it helps you guys better at Docketwise know like what kind of interest people have, what people enjoy, and if you see like a lot of people are like a certain thing, why not you guys develop it, so that's something to do. Definitely communicate with the team there. You had mentioned before we started the call that you had increased your customer service because like just to help people and make sure you're you're always there and available for people that need help. So they are people there if you have questions. That's what they're here for.
Right. We've just expanded our customer success team again and added additional people, and they are engaged full time in responding to customer questions and feedback, whether people are emailing us questions, which go immediately into our customer service pipeline, or whether you're contacting us through the live chat, which is manned all day long by people who are able to respond. And by the way, the people that man the live chat are bilingual in English and Spanish too.
Oh, very interesting. It's so good to have, because I'm sure probably most lawyers are like this too. Like, there'll be a technology thing that I don't understand, and then I'll just keep trying to fix it or deal with it. And a week or two go by. It's like, you have a live chat, just ask, and you could probably solve it in 2 seconds. So it's like, take advantage of these teams that are there.
There's never a reason to feel lost with Docketwise, because first of all, you have the live chat, and if you ask a question in the live chat, people will respond within a couple of minutes. You can always email us to our main address. The turnaround time for response is very fast. We have all of the instructions for the features. I mean, all of the in the Help Center article. So if you go to the top of your screen to the question mark icon and click Help Center, all the detailed instructions are painstakingly written out there. They have graphic illustrations, they have videos for how to use each and every feature on the site. And every Monday at 2 o'clock Eastern time, 11 a.m. Pacific time, there's an open onboarding webinar, which is open to all of our users. So anyone who has any type of question, you're free on a Monday, just come into the webinar, stay as long as you want, ask a question, watch some of the training, leave when you want. So there's never a reason to feel lost.
I didn't know that was there. Definitely repost it on LinkedIn. I'll post it to my group. It's really important to know. I'll just share that information. I was probably solid. I just forgot, but that's good to know you have this live. That might entice a lot of people to use it. It's kind of like, they say guys don't want to ask for directions when they're lost. I think I have that mentality where like I just want to figure out on my own since it's stupid feeling of satisfaction or whatever it is, but the help is there. It's ask for it, click on it. There's just myriad of ways to get this.
Right, and your time is valuable. So sure, It's great to figure things out on your own, but you don't want to waste your own time. So let us help you.
That's a smart way to go about it. I don't always think the smart way. So regarding payments, you also have associating payments with charges. What does that mean exactly?
So if let's say you have attorney fee X amount, FedEx shipping, and then you have some expenses, FedEx shipping X amount, translation cost X amount. So when someone pays, if let's say they didn't pay the entire balance of the invoice, but they paid you, the amount for the attorney fee, and then they still owe you for the expenses. So you can associate what they paid with the particular charge on the invoice.
Like itemization of it. That's perfect. Wow.
Itemization of what they paid for on the invoice, as well as what was on the invoice.
Now, the last thing is actually like the biggest thing, which is customization, smartphone customization. And as you mentioned before recording this, the new smartphone 3 system. Can you talk about what that is and what updates are coming?
Sure. Well, before we even get to smartphone customization, let me mention we also have the global invoice numbering. So the way that invoice numbering worked up until this point was when you created an invoice for a client, it was numbered according to how many invoices you created for that client. So your first invoice for a client would be invoice number 1, and the first invoice for a different client would be invoice number 1 for that client, and so on. Now we've added the feature where you can have sort of the invoices globally numbered. So if you've already created 500 invoices in your account, and you're now, the next invoice for this particular client is going to be number 501, because you're numbering them for the entire firm, not numbering the invoices based on how many you've created for a particular client, but overall in the entire firm. And you can set the starting number. So if you've already created 500 invoices this year, you can plug in 500 as your starting number, and the next invoice that you create will be 501, and so forth. We also have the charges over time report, where you can run a report now and see a report of the charges that you've added to invoices. So let's say it's the middle of the month, and you want to run a report on expenses and see sort of all the expenses that you incurred for different clients the first half of this month. So you can run that report and see what the expense amounts are, or what the fees are that you've added to invoices. You can run that over a given time period. So in the report, you see charges added to all the invoices for all the clients over a given time period, and you can break them down by whether they're services or whether they're expenses. Now, what you asked about was customizing smart forms. So now customizing smart forms is when you're sending an invoice, when you're sending an invitation to a questionnaire, you're able to invite the client to specific sections of the questionnaire. So typically in Docketwise, the questionnaires usually have most of the legalistic type questions in what we call an application section, which is one section of the questionnaire where, let's say you're doing like a naturalization. So those eligibility questions that are asked, we sort of put those all together in one section of the questionnaire. And then you have a section where we ask the person's biographical and personal information and so forth in another section. So now what you're able to do is invite the client to specific sections of the questionnaire. So if you don't want them to see any of the legalistic type questions, you can take that out and just invite them to the sections that pertain to them personally.
Interesting, yeah, because sometimes it might confuse clients, and you already know the answers are no, so it's kind of like it just allows for streamline.
And a lot of our users have told us that they just don't want the client just answering those online in a questionnaire. They want the client to just give all that nitty-gritty information, and then when the client comes in or when they're speaking to the client, they're going to ask them the eligibility questions, and they're going to fill those in. That's a lot of people have said that.
Yeah, like date of birth and place of birth, city of birth, that stuff they can fill out. That's just basic form stuff. But the legalese stuff, yeah, it's good to just talk with them. The client gets a feeling of like they're being listened to. It's not like they're just filling a form only or something like that. Well, that's fascinating. So wow, you guys and you have a lot more updates, and we just went through a small bit of them. It's kind of a constant evolution as this product just keeps growing. Remember last time we talked, you had to introduce business employment type applications within it too. That's grown as well. It's just magnificent what you guys have been doing. When you started this all, how, did you envision you'd be here and have such a full-on product, or?
Well, I think that I think that we did. We definitely set out to really take it to the fullest extent possible. Yeah. And so I think we did. It's getting, it's the process of getting there. And we've really tried. This is our guiding philosophy, is to keep the product attractive to use, in the sense that it's easy to navigate, easy to use, easy for people to get up to speed on. And the features that we add are features that people want. We are not adding things just because we on our side feel like they're good to add. We are adding things that people are asking for. So that's our reason for existing, is to add functionality that the users are asking for, and we are responding to what the needs are. And for the product and for Docketwise to thrive, to grow and thrive, we've had to go deeply into some of these things, because as you get, your larger firms and so forth, they tend to have more complex reporting needs, and they have more specific requests because they have an elaborate system within the firm for getting things done, and they want functionality that can be adapted to fit what their existing processes are. So that's the natural process of getting those customers.
Wonderful.
Let me tell you about the smart, but I am going to tell you did ask about the Smart Forms 3, which is not yet deployed, but that is coming up in the near future. It's in its last stages of testing and so forth. But we are going to be making it so that you can put together your forms and your supporting documents, and combine your forms and supporting documents and do various things with both of those together and create, sort of your package, assemble your package, as it were, that you're going to file. And there's just going to be a lot more complexity and subtlety. But I'm not going to go into any more details about it because it's coming soon.
Yeah.
But that's what's on the short-term horizon.
Cool. We'll probably have another chat in, like, I don't know, January or so, to go through that, if not December or January, to get the update on that and the use. So thank you so much for coming on again. I appreciate the work that you do, and you must be working nonstop, and you got Docketwise on the brain, because the many sub products you guys are creating, I can imagine you're always thinking about this one or another.
Yeah, it's just the nature of the business,
Yeah.
right? It is. That's right.
And then,
All right.
USCIS's form updates, they've been really obnoxious in that they don't even give a runway now when they update stuff. It's just like all of a sudden when they come, forms have changed. And I know that must be like, it's just like, I mean, you have a team that really quickly adjusts it, but it's so inconvenient that they do that. And I thought when Trump left, they would stop doing that, but we're still getting form updates where they just announce it without any, fanfare. So
It's true. They typically do give you at least several weeks, if not a couple of months, to start using the new version. But we have always, we monitor that. That's a super high priority, and we monitor every single day the agencies to see if any new form editions came out. And whenever they come out, we, start updating immediately. We always complete that update within a couple of days, so the update is very timely. And I think that they're just, from what I've seen, I think that they're still trying to achieve standardization, because really, if you look back to what the forms looked like several years ago before they started standardizing, there was so incredibly much variation in how they were put together. There really didn't seem to be that much rhyme or reason to it. And then they're trying to kind of standardize it and ask sort of the same sorts of things in all kinds of forms. So. But we'll see. You can never, you can't predict what they're going to do. We just kind of have to respond as quickly as we can.
Well, thank you again. I appreciate the work that you do. Definitely have you back again to discuss updates. And you guys are very thankful for being for Docketwise being a sponsor of the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox magazine. You always try to include an article in there to talk about technology and stuff as well. So it's much appreciated. Thanks so much.
Thanks a lot, John. Great talking to you.